Good day, Year 8. Our lesson today is on area of quadrilaterals. Our learning intention will be to solve problems relating to quadrilaterals. And our success criteria will be our ability to apply the FSSU framework to solve area of quadrilaterals problems. In our previous lesson on perimeter and also on circumference and circle relationships, we've learned some basic measurement facts, and we also know some units of measurements and how to convert units. There are some basic formula that we need to know as we do this lesson. So I've provided here in this slide the area of a rectangle, which is L times W, the area of a square, L squared, if each side is L, the area of a parallelogram, and the area of a triangle. We'll be applying these formula as we move along. The additional formula that we need to know, which is the area of a trapezium, and also the area of a kite and that of a rhombus. Right, let's get going. Find the area of a rectangle. Now, when we've been given a problem like this, first, what we need to do is to write down what we know from the question. So we write down what is given. We've been given the length, which is 10 centimeters, and we've been given the width, which is 5 centimeters. Now we need to apply the FSSU framework to help us set out our working out in a logical sense. So our formula is L times W, that's the formula, and then the substitution where L is replaced with 10 and the W is replaced with 5. So you have 10 times 5, which is 50. So the 50 is our simplification and the cm cube is our units. Anyway, if you missed the previous lesson, FSSU simply refers to formula, substitution, simplify, and U for units. So that's the FSSU. Find the area of a parallelogram. Again, what's given? In other words, what we know. We know now if you look at a parallelogram, the height is the dotted line there, and it goes straight to the base. So the base equals 7.2 meters, and the height h is equal to 3.5 meters. So again, that's the formula, which is the base times height is base times height, using the first letters B and H. So area equals B times H. Then we do the substitution, where the B is 7.2 and H is 3.5, and that simplifies to that answer, and then the units, square meters. So the area equals that. Easy. Find the area of a triangle. Now, for a triangle, the area is half base times height, or base times height divided by 2. Remember, when you divide by 2, is the same as multiplying by half. So we could simply write this formula as BH over 2. Multiplying by the half is the same as dividing by 2. Easy. Now, what we know, again, the height is that dotted line we see there. So the height h is equal to 2.6 meters. So the base where that perpendicular comes to equals 1.8 meters. So that's our formula again, the substitution, and that's the simplification and units is the final part. Simplify and then units. So the calculator comes in when you've already done your substitution and you want to simplify. So that's when the calculator comes in. Right. This is a trapezium. Now for a trapezium, that's the formula for a trapezium. We will have opportunity later on in this lesson to prove some of these formula that we are using. Again, what is given to us? Given. In other words, the things that we know. We know that A is equal to 5 meters. That is that part here. And we know B equals 12 meters. That's the other parallel line down here. And H is the vertical perpendicular height between the two parallel lines, and H is equal to 6 meters. So you always write down your formula, you do the substitution, then you can grab your calculator to simplify and get your final answer. So A is equal to that. That is made up of the simplification and the unit, which is the square meters. Find the area of the kite. That's the area of the kite. Now again, the vertical distance. So again, let's write down what we know. In other words, given. It's always important to do that before you do the substitution. We know that x is 14. That's that distance, 14 centimeters from here up to there. From here to there, that's 14. And then from here to there, that's our y, and that is equal to 21 centimeters. So again, that's the formula. You write it down, then we'll do the substitution. So half multiplied by 14 multiplied by 21, and then you simplify, and then you add the units because it's centimeters, so square centimeters. So that's the area. That's the area. Antoinette is trying to find the area in square centimeters for a trapezium with the various dimensions. A equals 10 centimeters, B equals 4, and H equals that. So those are the things which are given to us. Antoinette's calculator working shows that. So A, state the error she has made. Well, the error is simply brackets. She forgot the brackets because, as you can see, the area of a trapezium is half into bracket A plus B multiplied by H. So if you do the substitution, it's half into bracket. So remember, it means multiply. We normally don't write that by convention. So you got 10 plus 4 multiplied by H, which is 6. So it's the bracket she has forgotten to bring. Now, if I continue with this to solve for the B part, so find the actual area, well, this would be equal to half times 14 times 6. Of course, we know that 2 will go into 2 one time, will go into 14 7 times, and 6 times 7 is 42. So A equals 42. And the units in this case will be square centimeters because they're in centimeters, square centimeters. So again, remember in the working out, there's always going to be the formula, the substitution, simplify, and then units. Simplify and then units. Great. So apply these ideas to now solve some problems. But before we do that, let's have a look at the formula for rhombus. If we look at the diagram over here, we know that distance here to there is half x, and that vertical distance over there is half y. Now there are 4 triangles. 1, 2, 3, 4. But they are all identical. So we got 4 identical triangles. We've got 4 identical triangles. So the area of the rhombus will be equal to the area of those 4 triangles. Let's just put it here. That's the area of the 4 triangles. But for a triangle, we know that it is half base times height. That's the formula. So let's do the substitution here. The 4 here means we have 4 triangles, and we're multiplying by the area of one of them because they are all identical. They're all going to be found from the base is half x. Now, half x is simply x over 2. And the height is half y, and half y is simply y over 2. Now remember, half x is simply x over 2, and half y is simply y over 2, because as I said before, if you multiply by half, it's the same as dividing by 2. Now, from what we have here, we can tidy them up. Of course, this 2 will go into 4 and give you 2, and this 2 would go into that and give you 1. So your numerators, we've got 1 times x times y. That's what we have for the numerator, and the denominator we have 1 times 2. So this gives us xy over 2. That's the area of the rhombus. Half x, which is the same as half xy. And that's the formula which was given at the start. So we've been able to prove that the area of the rhombus is simply half xy, or xy over 2. What about trapezium? How can we prove to confirm the area of a trapezium? Well, again, we'll follow similar arguments. If you look at what we have here, in our trapezium, we have triangle 1 and triangle 2. This is triangle 1, and that's triangle 2. Okay, now what do we know? What do we know for triangle 1? For triangle 1, we know that the height is h, and we know that the base, probably let's write it in full. For triangle 1, we know that the height equals h, and the base equals a. For the second triangle, we know that the height is h, because that's the h there is the same as that. And the base equals all that, so that's b. All right. So the area of the trapezium is the area of triangle 1 plus the area of triangle 2. So that's the formula we have. So half times base 1. Now base 1 is a, and height 1 is h. Now base 2 is b, and height 2 is h. So they all have half in common, and they all have h in common. So I can factorize half h out. I'm doing factorization here. Now, the first term, because I've taken half h in front of the bracket, I'm left with only a. There is a plus sign here. And because I've taken the half h to the front, I'm left with b. What we've done here is we've factorized. This is something we do when we do algebra. So this is equal to, now we can just tidy this up for it to look like the formula we already know. So if I keep the half here, open the bracket a plus b, and put the h at the back. So that's the area. And that's pretty much the formula for the trapezium. Another way you can write this is simply because we're multiplying by half is the same as dividing by 2. So we can write this as a plus h, a plus b times h, or divided by 2. We can also do that. We can do that. That is correct, and that is also correct. Okay. What if we divided our trapezium like so, where we have a rectangle plus 2 triangles, but the 2 triangles, we can put them together because they share a common boundary. We can put that together. Now, let's work out what we already know given. What is it that we know? If we look at the rectangle, that distance here is a. So we know this is a, which is the same as that. And that is h. So for a rectangle, we know that the L equals A and W equals H. That's the width. Now, what about a triangle? Again, with triangle, we need base and we need height. We know that the height is very simple. Let's do that. The height equals H, because that dotted line, that's H. Now, what is the base of our triangle? That's this part here. Now, as you know, the whole length here was B, but we've taken away the A from it. So up to this point here and up to that point there, that will be B minus A. That is the base, B minus A. So let's go in here and do the substitution since we have the formula. Let's do the substitution. So you see how important it is to always extract the information which is given to you first before you try to do your substitution, before you try to reach for a calculator to do the calculation, because otherwise you're going to make a mistake. Even though we know what to do, let's do these things first. In fact, in this case, the calculator is not even necessary because we don't have figures given to us. We only have symbols. Right. That helps us with our problem solving. So length times width. The length is A and the width is H. For the triangle, it's going to be half base times height, which is the half here times the base. The base is B minus A. I have to put it in a bracket since I'm multiplying with other things, otherwise I'll make a mistake. That has to be done first, B minus A. Okay. And then we multiply that by the height, which is H. There's a bit of simplification we need to do here. Because A times H is AH. We just drop the multiplier sign. We know it's multiplying plus. Now, we have, let me just write this out here first. You have half B minus AH. If I expand that bracket, I'm going to have AH plus BH over 2 minus AH over 2. Now, since all these things are over 2, I can simply make this front part here 2 divided by 2. So they are all divided by 2, so I've really done nothing to it. It makes it easier. Since the denominator is 2, we know how to deal with fractions. We've got 2AH plus BH minus, now AH, 2AH minus AH, that gives you AH plus BH over 2. Now, at this point, we can factorize the H out. And you have A plus B all over 2, which is the area of the trapezium. Can you see that? Because all that I need to do is put the H at the back here. That's all. So this is the same as A plus H, A plus B multiplied by H over 2. And that's the area of the trapezium. Confirmed. If you don't want to write it as AH, that divided by 2, you can also write this as half A plus B multiplied by H. That's the same thing as that. Because remember, when you divide by 2, it's the same as multiplying by half. Okay. That was pretty straightforward. Now, what I want you to do is to pause here. Write these questions in your math books. Draw the diagrams, please. Show all your working out using FSSU. So you write the formula, then do the substitutions, simplify using your calculator, and then write your answer plus unit, the required unit. Okay. Again, you pause here. Write all the questions in your books. Draw the diagrams as well, please. Apply FSSU so that you can show your working out. Thanks. Again, you pause here. You write all these questions in your books. Apply FSSU to show your working out. Once you finish writing the questions, you can proceed to the next slide. These are additional questions, reasoning questions you need to do. So write them in your books with the diagrams and answer the questions. Right. So in today's lesson, we focused on the area of quadrilateral. Our learning intention was that we should be able to solve problems relating to the area of quadrilaterals. Our success criteria was to apply the FSSU formula to solve problems involving the area of quadrilaterals. From our previous lessons, we already know units of measurement, and also we know some basic measurement facts. Additional work that we need to do is for you to complete all the work questions that I've put in the slides by drawing the diagrams, label them where necessary, and show all your required working out. Once you finish with all that work, you could do the relevant homework that corresponds with area of quadrilaterals from Education Perfect platform. But here on Google Classroom, please do the checkout by clicking yes, I've watched the video. That would be appreciated because I need to keep track of students who are logging on and doing their maths lessons with me. Now, for the questions that are in the slides that you have just paused and copied out in your maths books, what do? Well, you're going to mark your own work. I've provided the answers after this page. So after this page, you will find the answers to mark your work. If your answers are different from the answers provided and you know where your mistake is, please fix your mistakes. If you're not sure what you're doing wrong, then get back onto Classroom, post that specific question or question number, and let's initiate a discussion. Maybe one of your classmates would answer it for you, or I can jump in and answer that for you as well. Additional videos will be uploaded on YouTube. My channel is Tabi Maths. You can kindly subscribe to receive new videos as they come along if you want to. You don't have to. If you want to, please go ahead. That will be appreciated. Thanks. So these are the answers to the various questions that you had to copy from slide 12, slide 13, and slide 14. These are the answers. Thank you very much. And for slide 15, these are also the answers. Again, thank you very much for your hard work. And we'll have our next lesson shortly. Our next lesson will be lesson 4, and that will be the area of circles.